All right. Hey, everyone. I think we're live. I need to work on these intros because we started late today. So, um, gonna be a little different this stream this week. Here, let me get my, I did write an agenda up. Where is that? It's over on the desktop. Aha, here we go. Okay, here's what we're doing today. Because I had a few people email since last week into this week asking about the show. How does this work? Various questions were asked. I'm going to do things sort of backwards this time. So normally I start with AI news and things like that. I was going to do an intro session, and then we'll watch some really nerdy YouTube videos about AI. Because I found one recently that was like, whoa, some groundbreaking work, and I think it was interesting. But okay, I don't see anyone in the chat yet. That's okay. I know most people are watching this after the recording, which is fine. Ooh, maybe I want this light over here. Hold on. We moved around some things in the stream setup. I forgot about this light that I put here. Oh, you know what? Okay, there's no light because that one, the battery went away. And how's this one doing over here? I don't really need that now, do I? Yeah, one of our lights does not. We're gonna get rid of it. One battery doesn't work. Oh well. Okay, let's just get ChatGPT open and let's play around with some new features here. Oh, it's capturing my screen. Great. Ooh, but we want to get rid of that one. We don't need that entire window capture thing. Here's my latest issue: USB drivers. I was using it to try to help me figure out. You can use it for tech support, I guess, is one way people might not know about. What else do we have here? This is all within the last week, so you can see some practical uses for AI things. So, best diffusion models for video, some web searching there. Chrome's Remember Me thing not working. Oh, that was a fun one to troubleshoot. Still not quite sure what that one's about. Some data, library data, analysis insights. I forgot what these ones are about. Oh, I was asking about questions about other ways to collect reference data. And I remember that one. But, enough of that. Let's actually do some live stuff here. So, okay. The first question you might encounter, you log into a free ChatGPT account and you're like, okay, let's get started here. What is a model, right? There's a bunch of lingo that was not invented for generative AI. But like you got to kind of learn some of the language here. So a model, that'll be the first one that pops up. A model, how can we explain this? In the same way that there's software that's created with different languages. We'll try this as a metaphor. There's also AI tools that are built with different models. Some of them are better for different tasks. A lot of the models we're using right now, like these O1, 4.0, GPT, those ones, those are they're kind of general purpose AI models. So they're made with collecting a ton of data across the internet and different sources of text primarily. And it's converted to a database setup. And then we're able to ask questions and kind of like get answers out of that compressed information. That's the quickest sort of explanation that I can come up with. There are longer form explanations for these things, but I try to avoid that on stream because, again, this is like multiple different skill levels watching this. So for any software developers watching this right now, I know I'm oversimplifying things. If we've got any folks from Stanford right next door to us, I know I'm oversimplifying things. Keep in mind that, this is a general audience sort of AI help desk. I try to make it as informal as possible. Hopefully that's working. Okay, so you got these different models. You've probably seen in the news recently that there's some announcements about the O3 model from OpenAI. This was like last week. They sort of announced that one. It's an interesting time to be talking about these things because, of course, there are some rumors about O3 and AGI. So, okay, another term that you probably are unfamiliar with, if this is all completely new to you, like what does AGI mean? This artificial general intelligence is sort of the end goal for a lot of people who are working in the space right now, which is like an AI model, a chatbot, we'll say, that is far surpassing human intelligence. This is the version that we hear about in like movies and sci-fi and things. So can it answer questions better than any human? Some people would argue that we're kind of already there with existing AI tools, in as far as like the overall scope of what these models can answer. I know I haven't read all the books in the library here. This is a tool that is in some way at least familiar with like most human knowledge, which is a notable thing, I think. We can't ignore that fact, that there are these new tools that we have that have that sort of breadth and depth of knowledge. Yeah. Okay, enough about that. So AGI may or may not have already been achieved. There were some benchmarks last week that people were talking about. So this is another sort of unique thing to the chatbot space and generative AI space, is like, how do we compare and rate these things against each other? Because again, there are multiple models being made and worked on. Over in your most tools here, like this one, we can select different models and they will be better at different tasks. I most of the time here am using 4.0, although 0.1, this advanced reasoning one, has some different features built in. So let me give you a quick example of that. And by the way, this is also what I'm about to do is another easy way to help you learn these things, is just do like a side-by-side comparison of the different outputs. Okay, so let's ask a question that maybe you can answer for us. And I'll do something simple because that, well, you'll just see the difference in these two tools. Okay, so we'll do something factual, even though that's not really the best way to use this. What was the location of the first Palo Alto City Library? And I'm leaving in typos because we don't really care. This is just a demo. It has absorbed Wikipedia. This is probably what this answer is from. It got some, mention of Old City Hall building, 1940. This is correct. Okay, let's try this again. Typos included. We're going to switch over to advanced reasoning. Now, what I've done today so far is not really the primary reason to use these things, is not really for searching the web or like fact-finding type of tasks here. But you see, we got a little bit different response. This 0.1 model, 0.1 preview, or wait, is this the preview still? The 0.1 model, it's not the preview anymore. It had a little bit of thinking behind the scenes, and then it came back with this answer. Some people like this sort of like insights into what was going on before it delivered the final answer. There's other folks who will say that this is unnecessary. It's a lot of the tools like this are doing some sort of like, call it like data massaging to get it to fit the right format for whatever it's expecting. Okay, so that's a general overview of what you can do. This is the worst possible example though, because what I forgot to show you. Go back over. Let's make a new one here. Okay. A little bit different answer we're going to get here. I just enabled the web search option. Okay, and we're going to include those typos again because it is smart enough to know what I was trying to say. Haha. Okay, so here we have what? Where is this pointing to? Point to a website. Oh, well, hey, this is new actually. I haven't seen this before. It sent us to the Google Maps location of where this first library was, which by the way, if we can do a quick I just lost my mouse. Look, isn't this amazing, the internet? Look at that. It was right here. This corner here, which I always say is like, oh, this is where the parking garage stairs down to the sub level go. It's not there anymore. Let's go back to the answer here. Yeah, hold on. Let me make this a little larger so you can see what we got. So, okay, the newest versions here with a little more web searching capability. We've actually got citations that take us to the place that said the thing. This was not the case like even a year ago. So when you read people talking about ChatGPT and other generative AI tools, and they talk about like, oh, the hallucinations and the problems with it making up facts and all of these other issues that come from it being a large language model and it's not actually like current on today's information. Like a year ago, there was a very well-known cutoff date for it's like it didn't have anything beyond April 2023. I just made that date up. So you can ask it questions about like what movies are out next weekend, that sort of stuff. Well, now you can. You can actually, and this isn't the only tool that does this, by the way. Basically, every tech company making AI stuff right now has some sort of web search, or at least they're moving towards web search integration. It gave us some things way beyond what the other ones could answer. It linked us over to Palo Online. Where else did it go? We got some stuff from the CarnegieLibraries.org website. Oh, I'm going to go to these. Don't worry. I'm just clicking to see what it. Oh, okay. That was all from the same page. We've got this news article, which likely authoritative, right? This is a newspaper of record for our area. This Carnegie Libraries of California. I mean, I know this is true because I work here, but let's take a pause here for a moment. If you were someone who did not know about these things, would you trust these sources? Like, we still have not got to the point where your chatbot is telling you that this is like, listen to this. This is the reason why I picked this source, and you should trust it because, well, this one's a newspaper, and the other one is. Let's look again at what this site is. Welcome to the Carnegie Libraries of California. There appears to be some sort of historical association. Let's see their about page. Okay, and we got some info here. Let me make that text larger for everyone. Huh. Yeah, we got some information about. Oh, they visited cities where they built. So this appears to be a passion project. Let's see what else they got here. Well, now having gone through this site and learning a little more about where did this come from, likely factual. But again, we don't get that information from. We've saved a little bit of time going through a Google search and finding the same information. It'd be nice if there was a little more like information in here. Well, we could ask it too. We could say, why did you pick those sources? And a lot of people miss this. You can go back and you can try to you can give feedback. You're not sort of stuck with whatever response it first came with. Okay, I selected these sources because they provide detailed and credible information about the history and location of Palo Alto's first public library. It is from here, the Carnegie website, blah, blah. Okay, what What makes you think the Carnegie Library website is authoritative? Oh. While it may not be an official government or academic source, it serves as a specialized repository of information on the topic. For the most authoritative, that's funny at the very end. Consult official city records or academic publications. We're going to dig one level deeper here. Okay. What about their website seems credible? I need a second source on the Carnegie Library info for Palo Alto. You don't have to accept the first answer. Okay. PCAD, Pacific Coast Architectural Database. Huh. Well, isn't that interesting? We didn't even know. I have never heard of this one. This site. Huh. Okay, if we take that, and I'm just curious what happens if we search. Okay, well, we can start to see where it came with that answer. This is the number one search, and then that's the number two search result, I should say. Meeting rooms. Oh, what is this? An antique postcard? Well, I'll be. Okay, we're not giving them free advertising though. That's someone's eBay site. What else we got here? Exterior view of the. I know we're getting sidetracked. We'll get back to it. Oh, there it is. Huh. Okay. Folks, this is just one thing you can do with your everyday chatbot thing. My favorite use actually for the workplace is searching for how to use apps that are, have some level of familiarity with it. I'm just like, what's that Excel formula again? So here, let me give you an example of that too. And we'll just stick with the 401. Okay. What's the most complicated Excel use for library stats? It knows I'm not serious. Okay. Scenario, you have a thing tracking books. Formula idea. Fines per membership for late returns. Ooh, this is the. I did not pick this topic, by the way. This was the chatbot that did this. Okay. Okay, so some product. It did indeed come up with a complicated formula. Uh, here's the killer thing that you can do. Can you show how to use this with some sample data? It's like writing the textbook for you right in front of your eyes. To me, this is a game changer. Is just having it basically teach on the fly anything that you want to learn. Incredible tool for that. Okay, it gave us some sample data. Yay! Borrower ID 101. Yeah, that seems real. Okay. Use the data in the formula. Some product. Fines accrued. it kind of makes me sad that this is the first thing that the chatbot thinks about when we talk about libraries is this. But okay, now explain this to me as if you were we'll make it funny. If you as if you were doing a children's story time. And by the way, I'm demonstrating this so you can see the power of it fitting to whatever context you give it. So, okay. We now have a short story about the land of Excelia, where a wise old wizard named Formular helped librarians find answers to tricky questions. One day, the librarian of the Great Library asked, "Wizard, can you help me figure out how much gold the students owe for borrowing fiction books last November?" "Of course," said Formular. "But first, let's gather our clues." Okay. This is funny, right? We now have a. I remember in like you flip the page in your textbook and like here's a real life scenario thing here going on. Yes. Even with a moral to the story. Okay, and I guess we're just gonna jump into the other thing I had planned today, which is doing a short story based on whatever. People in chat, if you want to post short story ideas for the stream today. I pose this question to you in chat. If something strikes you, please write it in there. We'll use this next hour to make some crazy short stories here. So, okay. Let's go back here. This sounds like a decent plot line for a picture book of some sort. We're gonna go off the rails here, and we're gonna turn this Excel teachable moment into a children's story from the land of Excelia. So great. Can you turn this into a storybook plot line that's under, we'll say like 10 scenes? Okay. Scene 1, the librarian's dilemma. Scene 2, arrival of the wizard Formular. So for anyone who joined last week, we did or I guess if you didn't watch last week, because you're probably confused by why I'm doing this. Last week we had a dry run of the AI storytelling workshop. That's a thing we've done here at this library several times. I believe if you search for AI storytelling Palo Alto, you should find. Here's the event. Here's some other things. Palo Alto Networks. Wait. Why is Keanu Reeves mentioned here? Okay. We're talking about Palo Alto Networks now. I should have said Palo Alto Library. That will help you guys closer here. Okay, so. Oh, hey. Okay. Well, this was unplanned, but let's see what this is about. Writing family history with AI workshops. Who did this one? Oh, this was at our neighbors next door at the Los Altos Library. Huh. Cool. Let's read this here. Discovering how AI enhances writing, delving into movie making techniques, crafting personalized family stories. Wow. Oh, Ron Chan is an experienced genealogy lecturer, published author, sharing innovative storytelling methods, founder of the Bay Area Chinese Genealogy Group. Huh, cool. That sounds cool. Let's go back to our story though. Sorry, there's a lot of side quests in this stream. Okay, we now have our 10 scenes that it wrote, right? I'm gonna take these scenes. Okay, we're gonna need some support here. We need to get this out of this. Let's go back to our notepad. Okay, and for folks joining later, this is our schedule today. Ooh, I should not paste in here because that font is gigantic. All right, yeah, let's get a different text editor going. Okay, this is a little more manageable here. We're gonna do it super simple this time. We're gonna go to over here, a new chat. Let's make a picture of this. Now, thankfully, our story does not have any consistent character problems, but I'll show you in a moment how to fix that problem. It's thinking. Whoa, now. Okay. The wizard formular, ready to solve the mysteries of Goldode. By the way, our library is fine free, so there are no late fees. It's only replacement fees that are. So I don't like to propagate this. Okay, and here's the trick as you're doing these projects. It's going to give you these very long file names. Let's call this just scene 1. Okay. Scene 2, here we go. And now the wizard formular. So here's the first issue that's going to pop up is that our formular probably going to look a little different in scene 2. Well, I guess that's close enough. He gained a hat this time. And this is hilarious because we're conjuring math above our heads here. Okay, scene 2. One more time. One thing I haven't figured out with this setup is how we're going to get audio out. So the way we've done this before is with, what was it called? Was it automatic 11? No, that's the other one. That's the audio one. Audio AI. I'm forgetting the name of this. 11 Labs. That's why it was 11 Labs. This one. Okay. I think we have an account for this one. Hold on, we'll go back to that. Okay, here was scene 3. Where do we go? There we go. Scene 4 is formular. Doing the rules. So one thing I'm not sure about is by doing this all in the same Dolly chat, I don't think it remembers anything from the past chats that I did about the characters or anything like that. Although it seems to be... I mean, this is funny because it did get the 1, 2, 3, 4. Although 5 is kind of... Whoa, actually count... I don't know if anyone's noticed this yet. There's 2 2s and 2 3s and then a 4. And then for some reason we go back to 0 again. In the land of Excelia, they have a different counting system. It apparently only uses the 4 fingers, no thumb. It's a base 4. I just made that up. Okay, let's get... Okay, scene 4. you kind of get the idea, right? We're going to go through all of these. Oh, what is going to do with this, though? This is going to be a real test of this. Okay, so this new prompt, oh, it does say wizard in there. So it's probably going to, maybe it'll get this right. Maybe it won't. It, so far, it does seem to have some kind of understanding. Yeah, okay. And just to prove a point here, if we go to a new chat picture and I say, let me get rid of, well, okay, let's do it this way first without the same prompt. I think it's just the fact that it says wizard and magic in there, and that's why it's kind of, we're getting close to the same, like, consistent output. Oh, this is very different, though. Look at that. That was a fresh chat. Fresh image generation here. Let's go back to our... The Library Gold Debt Mystery is apparently the title of this book. Look, and we got this one this time. It seems to be doing okay with keeping this in similar settings, which was not planned. Okay, let's go back here. Wait, did I download that one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think I did. Scene 5. Okay. This is going to be the most epic Excel children's story that has ever existed. And I'm happy to bring that to you in record time here. Okay. We've only got 4 scenes left, and I'm going to stitch this all together. Plenty of time. Oh, hey, Nick. I see Nick just walked by the door. Formular. And the librarian chanted a spell together. The notebook shimmered and glowed. Rows of data rearranged themselves. And the totals began to appear. Wow. Wow, okay. Scene 6. Saving that one. And... You know, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that we have not talked about how does this image generation work at all? The simple answer is a diffusion model. The oversimplified answer is a diffusion model, I should say. Okay, this is looking good. Scene 7. Okay. Let me get to the end of scene 10 and then we'll talk about... We'll talk about what is this? What is this craziness we're looking at? Ooh, you know, as this is doing this, I should check my email because I told... Oh. ASMR. Oh, this is a good microphone, isn't it? What was I saying? I got distracted by... Oh, I told the people that emailed from last week to this week that I would... No, I understand not everyone wants to create a Google or a YouTube account, so we have multiple ways to join today. Oh. Uh-oh. Ba-ba-ba. Okay, we need that was not related to that one. Sorry, I started looking at work email during stream. What a problem. We're gonna download that one. Scene 8. And the library's future. With her new knowledge, the librarian solved the mysteries of the library every day, from tracking overdue books to planning new programs. The library became more magical than ever before. Wow. And it is thinking. We're thinking. Oh, I did have a video that I found earlier. Oh, wow. Okay. C9 is kind of. Okay, see. The problem is that you get long file names like that we don't want to keep. So that's why it's pausing constantly. Okay, scene 9. And let me emphasize again, you want to be very careful about how you name these scenes, because if you wait till the very end, it's going to take forever to get this all patched together to match the story. Okay, and one final scene. And it ends with a the end too, which is okay. Here we go. Don't worry, we're crossing the finish line here. Oh, by the way, I didn't check. Oh no, my Stream Deck buttons are not working. What's going on here? Let's see. Is this? Oh, okay. Sorry, technical difficulties here. Oh, that's working. I just messed it up. There we go. Okay, there we go. There's a work in progress here. Stream. Well, that's the end of the story. Scene 10. Let's now let's see. We need some audio to go with this. So how are we gonna do that? I think we can probably listen to. Okay, if we go back. So we're gonna take this. Here's our script. And now I'm gonna ask. Now we're gonna create a new chat. We're gonna ask it to can you turn this 10 scene story into a no turn into anything. Can you reformat this 10 scene story into something that will sound better when it is read out loud? And I'm being very vague intentionally. Let's just see what it like. What does that mean, read out loud? We'll let the chatbot decide. And we're gonna let it reason on some things, and let's see what it does. Okay, so this brings me to, if not the most important thing to know about these tools, maybe the funnest thing to know is that you really do need to spend time with them, seeing what works or doesn't work. There's no replacement for actually testing these things out for yourself with a task that is important to you. So not everyone here is going to be writing short stories for children. However, there's very likely something that a chatbot can help you with. You have to first spend time with it in order to get to that point. The recommendation I've read and I kind of agree with is like at least 10 hours doing whatever, just to see, like, you got to test it out, see what will work. And what was its reasoning here? I'm enhancing the scene to improve the flow, engaging the wizard, blah blah, from a spell. I think that it took out the weird formula stuff that was in there. No, it kept it in there. Okay. We could have it read this out loud. Okay, I know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to record the stream reading this, and then we're going to go back and we're going to put that in a video editor. So if I tap that.
The Magical Library Mystery. Scene 1, The Librarian's Dilemma. In the bustling great library, the librarian paced among the towering shelves. A question gnawed at her mind. How much gold do the students owe for borrowing fiction books last November? No one knew the answer. Then, in a flash of inspiration, she remembered the wise wizard. Scene 2. The arrival of Wizard Formula. Suddenly, a swirl of glittering smoke appeared, revealing a tall figure with a pointed hat. You summoned me? Wizard Formula asked with a polite bow. The librarian explained her mystery, and the wizard's eyes sparkled. Ah, we'll solve this together using a powerful spell called Sumproduct, he declared. Scene 3. Gathering the clues. Determined to find the truth, the librarian retrieved her enchanted notebook. It brimmed with rows of information on borrowers, book categories, return dates, and fines. All our clues lie here, said Formula. Let's sort them out carefully. The librarian nodded, her curiosity piqued. Scene 4. The rules of the spell. Formula tapped his staff on the floor and outlined the spell's 4 rules. 1. Look only at students. 2. Check only fiction books. 3. Focus on returns in November. 4. Add up the fines for all matching rows. I understand. The librarian exclaimed, This should be simple enough. Scene 5. Writing the magic words. With a flourish of his quill, Formula scribbled the spell. Excel equals Sumproduct, B2DC7 equals student per C7 equals fiction, 11-1, E2, E2, E7, date kun 30, F2, F7. He held it out for the librarian to see. Recite this, and it will calculate everything for us, he said. Scene 6, chanting the spell together. Wizard Formula and the librarian chanted the words. The enchanted notebook shimmered, its rows rearranging themselves. Numbers gleamed and glowed as they hovered in the air. Scene 7, the surprising result. When the light faded, Formula frowned in surprise. Oh dear, he said. No students returned fiction books in November. The total fines owed are 0 gold coins. The librarian burst out laughing. Well, that's a relief, she said. No fines for the students this time. Scene 8. The librarian learns the spell. Formula handed the written spell to the librarian. Keep this safe, he instructed with a wink. Use it whenever another mystery arises. The librarian grinned, grateful to master such useful magic. Scene 9. The library's future. With her new knowledge, the librarian solved all sorts of mysteries, tracking overdue books, planning special programs, and more. The great library brimmed with an air of enchantment and efficiency. Scene 10. A happy ending. At last, Wizard Formula tipped his hat and disappeared in a puff of glittering smoke. Thank you, Wizard, the librarian called after him. You've saved the day. And so the great library thrived, filled with knowledge, guarded by gold, and touched by magic forevermore. The end.
Wow. Okay. Okay, I've stopped recording. By the way, if there are any library students watching the stream, this is not what library work is like. There's no wizards that appear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to let you know this, but it is very different than what the land of Excelia. Is that the name of it? Excelia? That didn't make it into the... Oh, I think there's some lore that we're missing from this. It was back here. It was a couple chats ago. The wizard spell. No, it wasn't that one. Although, this would be... Okay. We're still going to save this one as a... maybe like the thumbnail. We'll do that as the thumbnail image for YouTube. Okay, now we need to... So we've generated our images. We've got our plot that we also had ChatGPT make. Now we're going to get some video editing tools open, and let's see if we can do this easily. Do I have Rush installed on here? I think I do. Now we can debate, is it worth keeping the scene numbers in there where it's narrating is like scene 1, do this, scene 2, do that. Oh, you know what I also just realized? Uh I had it on the Santa Claus voice this whole time. That's one of the other features that's they just dropped. That's why we had a older gentleman speaking the story to us. Yes, there is a Santa Claus voice. Okay, let's get this. I'm gonna start a project now in Rush. This is the thing from last week. Oh, can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Just lost my windows here. There we go. That was from last week. Okay, we need. Where did I save those things? We'll hold up. We gotta move some files around here. Let's take the one that we just recorded, which should have today's date.
Scene 1, the librarian's dilemma.
There we go. Okay, I just found the recording. Move that to the desktop. And where are those pictures that we just saved? Oh no, where did those go? Ah. Also move those to the desktop. Did that work? I think it did. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. Okay, back over here. Here is the audio that we just recorded. And we're gonna separate the audio track. And do I keep these ones? Wow, this is really strange. I'm on stream now editing myself in the editor behind me. This is not at all what I was expecting to do today. But here we are. We can just delete that, right? I can just delete that. Ah, no, I can't. Okay. Okay. That's okay. We're gonna use this as a learning opportunity here. Scene 1. I should be able to just drop this in, right? Oh, I can't hear it. Wait, where's the sound? Oh, we don't have sound playback. That's going to be a problem too. There's definitely audio though. Okay, I think we're going to go something like this. And there's probably a way for me to drop all these in. Nope. All right, this is why, again. 1. Did I do that right? Nope. No, I did not. That was actually the end. That was 1. Oh, okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I know there's a way to do this. There's got to be an easier way. There must be an easier way. ChatGPT, help me out. How do I add several images into Adobe Rush that are numbered in the same order? Please understand this. Please understand my question. Incorporating images. Okay, open your project, add the media, sort, and select. Oh. Select the images in the order that you want. See? I knew it. Okay. All right, let's go back. Hooray! We don't have to do this the slow way. We can do it this way. Okay, let's do this again. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, we gotta just select those ones too. Back we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. All right. Can it be that easy? I can. Um, Now how are we gonna do this? Because we need to. Okay, I think obviously we're gonna trim this down. Right, and for our next trick, how do I remove the video track in Rush after separating the audio? See, you don't need to know how to use the editors. You just ask it questions, and then it will nudging the clip. Navigating through the removing video track. 7 seconds. Select the click in the timeline. Add the right editing panel. Detach audio. We did that. Click on the narrow separated video portion in the timeline. Press delete on the keyboard. Help me out here, people. We separate. No, we did. See, we did that already. But we don't want to do that. Expand audio. Oh, okay. I think my mistake was that I no. Oh, let's see what it said here. Are there any video editors in the audience? Please help. In the right-hand editing panel, using the context, choose detach audio. This separates into separate tracks. Click on the now separated video portion. I did this. Oh, I did typos. I did this and it deleted the entire thing. What gives? Double check the audio is truly detached. Make sure you're only selecting the video. Oh, okay. They're both definitely highlighted. All right, let's go back here. Yeah, but I don't want that. Expand audio, separate audio. Oh, you know why? I think, is it something silly like that because it's at the beginning of the thing? Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna ignore this problem for now. And we're gonna get rid of, I'm hitting undo. Oh, no, don't undo that part. Redo that part. We want this. Because it doesn't really matter what we really want. That's just annoying. Let's get out of here. And by the way, how long is this story? This story is 3 minutes long. That's not too bad. But now this is going to be a process of going into here. And basically finding where each, like where does each one start? Okay. Well, we're close to 5 o'clock too. So if I am following the directions from earlier, now it's time for really nerdy YouTube videos about AI on YouTube. Yay! But before we do that, I'm going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We will perhaps post this video on our channel. This is not the end of this story. I mean, look at these images. Oh, here's one problem now. Look at that. It actually... Be very careful when you're adding to Adobe Rush, because it cropped things. Although, you know what would be cool? Even though these are stills, we could still go in here and... Where is it? There's like a sidebar thing that will let you do some like motion stuff. Not titles, not transitions. Ah, here we go. See, we could do some of these, and which will look like this, like a little bit of animation. No, I'm joking. But there are some effects you can add to that. The other cool thing we could do. Ooh, I said I was going to take a break, but before I forget, you can now go to Sora.com with your pro account. And by the way, this is no. Here's some test images from earlier we did. The one that I would try right now that I'm hearing good things about is actually Kling AI. This supposedly is a very decent video maker. And they got a trial thing going on. There's Kling AI. There's the Sora one. There's that new one that Google just came out with, and I'm forgetting the name of. It's like, well, here, let's just ask ChatGPT again. Hey, what's the... Whoop. Hey, what's that new video generator from Google? I think it's something like VO2. Yeah. Early testers have noted that VO2 outperforms competitors like OpenAI Sora. Oh, but it's not a... I remember this now. It's not like a open beta at all. You gotta waitlist yourself to get into this one. But anyway, I wanted to show you back over in Sora. And by the way, these are images I generated within the last week after the stream last Monday. Because someone said online that if you took a URL and you put it in here, it would do some unusual things, which it indeed did, because this is not at all our website. And nor should it be. But then I had to do some other ones of like just Palo Alto City Library, the streaming studio. It doesn't quite look like this, but it's close. And then some other. This is the reboot room in like an alternative universe. But let's do a new one. And let's see. We get if you can add a. All right, so you can do it through a prompt. There's also the storyboard thing that we should try out too. There's like a whole editor that's built into it now. But let's just upload an image that we just created and see what it does. And which one should we do? I see there's a few folks watching live right now. Which one is the most notable? And sorry that these are not, maybe I can make them larger. Here we go. Anyone? Anything exciting over here? How about, let's pick one that has the most motion in it. Maybe, this one? Scene 9? Let's try it out. Optionally describe your video. Optionally not going to do that and just see what it does. I'm imagining stuff floating around and things. We'll see. So, okay, here's the trick. Generate it somewhere else, bring it over to your video editor later, or your video generator. And you can do things like take this video. It's limited, it's time limited to like a couple seconds. But you can take that video and then grab a screenshot of the very last frame of the video, keep it rolling. Keep adding more video to that video, or just switch to another tool out there that does this. But this is kind of fun because it was just like within the last week, this one became available. The Kling one, I think has been around longer. I haven't actually used this yet, but Hearing stuff. Oh, and here's some examples of what other people are making here. 90%. 90% there. A 5-second clip. Sent at exactly 5 p.m. Magical Library Awakening is the name of it. How did it come up with that? Ooh, are we this? What's going on here? It kind of froze, seems. Well, I said I was going to take a little break here, so we'll let that render. I'll say be right back in chat. And let me remember to mute my microphone. That's always good, right? Oh, back in like 5 or so. We are back. Oh, it rendered. Oh, I forgot. Kind of forgot what we were doing. Let's see what we got here. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, for continuity, not such a fan of the one on the right. But that is exactly what I would hoped would have happened with that image. The one on the left, especially for this part of the story, like I maybe would animate that one specifically, and then okay, so we now need to download. Download, please. Thank you. And we could have gone back into our editor here, and we could say in the future at a later date, go over to this slide that was a still and delete it. And a person could go to their downloads folder, wherever that might be, and add that video there. And they might also shrink down their timeline and drop it between that one and that one, because I remember that's the actual, that's the final, the end storyline. Okay, well, I kind of want some sort of final product here, so let's just wing it. I know that each one here takes a few minutes to go through. What is the problem right now is our screen real estate is kind of taking up too much. All right. As promised, we will get to the nerd stuff in a moment. Boom. How exciting is this? Well, I think it is kind of exciting because I mean, just imagine if this was a plot line that we actually cared about and we spent more than 10 seconds just randomly generating a story and then demonstrating this. You can always go back to your script from ChatGPT and add some embellishments. You can also delete scenes. You could add new characters. You could have it retell that same story as actually let's do this right now. Let's go back to our ChatGPT and let's go back to our original storyline here. Magical spell. Okay. Okay, now let's rewrite this. Rewrite this story from the as if it was from the year 1000. And we could totally shift the timeline for it. Transforming technology, resetting characters. We are now in a medieval library. Scribes by candlelight. How many gold coins but do they leave the? They've got to get rid of the Excel. Oh, there's still the Excel stuff. That doesn't make as much sense. But again, you can take these basic stories. You can tweak the setting or the plot line or all that stuff. It's not yeah, this is for demonstration purposes only, I promise you. Okay, and there's the final one. Obviously there's some gaps here. Like so, like so. Okay. Oh, the other thing that we forgot, I forgot about this too, is all of these should not be. Well, okay, here's an interesting conundrum to have. We could potentially kind of reframe these. And we can also take these and we can like adjust things that maybe were not so good in the original. Like this one's all messed up. Okay. All right, we're just gonna export this right now. Let's go into the background. Low quality, because that's where it started. Okay. Export. Let's now, as promised, go to the super nerdy AI video that I found. We're gonna have to find it in the. Hold up now. I have it saved over here. Oh, unrelated, but sort of related. Fantastic futures. For the librarians in the audience, you should check out this conference that just wrapped up. I've been told there are video recordings here. But yeah, this is the Artificial Intelligence for Libraries, Archives, and Museums group. I got some interesting stuff here. This was posted like a week or two ago. I think this is a very, very recent. Anyway, that was another sidetrack thing. Let's get out of here. Okay, we're just gonna have to search my, because I was watching this the other day. It's in my history. Dun dun dun. Oh, where'd the thing go? Just seeing a bunch of stuff about this other app we just started using. Comfy AI or UI. This has been fun to learn, this one. Where did it go? It was something about, not that one. Bear. This is gonna frustrate me. I need to. Oh, there's an update for this one. Let's do that too. Okay. ChatGPT, help me out here. We are looking for. It was a recent talk, recent YouTube video from Stanford professor about AI systems, not prompting, and it was like the Berkeley AI research group, something like that. Here we go. Okay, it got it. Yay! It was this first one. Large language models get the hype, but compound systems are the future of AI. And wow, this is an hour long. We're probably not gonna finish all of it, but
it's wonderful to be here with you all.
Okay, hopefully
large language models get the hype. This is certainly true.
Okay. This begins the super AI nerd portion of the stream. So if I'm losing any of you on this one, that's okay. You can ask questions in chat. I can also move on to something else if that's more interesting to you. But I wanted to get this one out there because I got some commentary that this is not like the DVD director's thing, but I do have some commentary that I'll pause on because this Christopher Potts, I think you get some points there. And it's kind of matches some of
I
the
do
other thinking
believe
I've had
firmly
recently.
that the future is in compound systems. I want to emphasize, though, that I also feel like the present is compound systems. I think we're all kind of intuitively aware, if we're working in the field, that we only ever interact with systems, but models get all the headlines. And so that kind of core insight can get clouded out. And part of what I want to do today is just raise your consciousness on the fact that we are all the time dealing with systems. But if that is getting lost in the shuffle, it is understandable because we are awash in headlines that are centered on large language models and other foundation models. This is a trend that really kicked off with the GPT-3 paper in 2020, of course. And that makes perfect sense because the headline result from that paper is that they did a thing in the world.
We did a thing.
Trained a model at 175 billion parameters, which is more than an order of magnitude larger than any model that had come before it.
All right, this
and
is
of course, the central
stuff.
insight is that simple act of scaling led them to be able to design systems of a kind that we had never seen before.
I want to speed this up a little bit so we can
the trend
potentially get through it.
Lots of exciting new models. Here's another example of this.
In the next
when Google announced its Palm model, of course, the headline there was that it was 540 billion parameters. So
and I've watched this part too, so let me just summarize.
I think Palm is a system in the sense that I mean for the talk today, but they made the announcement in terms of a model. And they even did that for their Gemini system. I think, again, Gemini...
Okay, so the first, and I watched some of this already, the first like 10, 15 minutes is talking about how, as you just said, the headlines are all about models, but no one really thinks about the model. It's more about what can the AI also, like, what is it interacting with? What other systems is it attached to?
Is a paradigm case of innovation at the level of model artifacts, but also at the systems that we build around them. You now have a system. And part of the main thesis for today is that both of these things are non-trivial choices that are going to define the kind of system that you end up with. The prompt, the model, and the sampling method form a kind of minimal system, but already an important one. And then, of course, in the more modern mode now, we are taking minimal systems like that and giving them access to calculators and programming environments and databases and maybe even web APIs and the web itself.
I like this part. Minimal systems. And part of this is like also the news headline stuff where it's like, it's focused on the sort of general purpose big models that are out there. But there's a lot of local LLM things that we can do already right now. That is not that, which is very much under our control and not being sent over the internet to some other unknown database, we'll say.
I think at that point, we can all see that this is a software system. The language model might have a privileged place here as a kind of hub for all the things that are going to happen, but it is just one component, and the capabilities of the system are going to be defined by how all of these things work together in concert and not solely.
That's the main point.
By the language model. And that is kind of the essence of my thesis for today.
Sorry.
In my group and in related groups at Berkeley and various other places, we have been thinking in these terms for quite a while now. And at the start of this year, we did a blog post called The Shift from Models to Compound AI Systems. And I'm kind of today just giving you an updated perspective on the thesis from that blog post. I want to emphasize that that blog post is from February 18, 2024. And the reason I want to emphasize that is that in AI terms, that was a long time ago. And I'm hearing more and more of this talk. And in particular, Sam Altman, at a very recent OpenAI developer event, was musing aloud about the future of AI. And he said he expects to see a shift from talking about models to talking about systems, which to my ear directly echoes the title of our blog.
Let's pause there for a second. So, okay, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. It's 8 months later.
I don't know whether he was influenced by us or whether this is a case of convergent thinking or what, but we did say this first. I guess that's the main point I want.
Convergent thinking is the idea that inventions happen simultaneously across geographies because of unknown. He's like, that was just the thing to
make it like, sort of goodbye, Sam. We've been thinking in these terms for a very long time.
Right? Did I get that right?
Why is this important? I'm going to try to support these main claims here, but let me just give them to you at a high level. The first is that this is important just from the perspective of investing in all of the right things as you're developing an AI solution. Here's an analogy. When you design a system in this mode, you are doing something analogous to designing a Formula One race car. And I think we all can recognize that an F1 race car is much more than just its engine. It's also aerodynamics and friction and the driver and the controls for the driver and everything else. All of those things have to come together to get a really good race car. And too often in AI, we are behaving like F1 race car designers who focus obsessively on the engine. And I don't know much about F1 racing, but I'm confident that if all you ever did was think about the engine for this car, you would not end up with a good race car. And just by the way here, you can probably tell that I generated these images using ChatGPT. And it was sort of funny. I had trouble prompting it to get me to just show me a picture of an F1 engine. It kept putting wheels on the engine. So it would produce pictures like this. And I decided that this is almost a kind of comical embodiment of the thing that I'm worried about today, is that we're trying to design F1 race cars, and we end up doing that by putting wheels on the engine. Do not do this. It's not going to lead to a good overall system. I think in these terms. Here's another important point. Building the best system for your goals and constraints is almost certainly going to emphasize system components. And I maintain that, for example, a small model that is embedded in a smart system is always going to be better than a big model embedded in a simplistic system. I think this is true even if you're just shooting for raw accuracy or performance in some sense, but it is absolutely true if you also care about things like cost and latency and safety and privacy. Once those considerations come in, you're going to be thinking about a system that can offer you all of those guarantees. And therefore, and in that context, a small model might be the only choice that you could make, especially if cost is a consideration. And then finally, we could expand the purview out a little bit here and just think about safety and regulation. I'm going to talk about this at the end of the talk today. A lot of discussion in these areas has been focused on model artifacts. And I think that is simply a mistake. I think we need to think about regulating entire systems. Not just models. I think if we focus on the models, we're inevitably going to let some really dangerous stuff through and also end up over-regulating things that could actually be just very productive. But if we...
I'm going to pause again for a second. I really like that the engine metaphor that he uses at the very beginning, because there's also another metaphor that goes along with that, which I've talked about in chat or on the stream earlier. Also didn't invent this idea. It's like, okay, we are focused. We're trying to build that F1 race car, and they're only talking or thinking about the model or the engine of the car. There's another idea in tech where it's like, it's called mechanical sympathy. The idea that the race car driver, if they have some beyond just like surface level understanding of how their F1 car works, or any car, that will help them be a better driver. So yeah, at the same time, you don't have to know how an engine works in order to drive a car. The same way that you don't have to necessarily dive deep into how does a large language model, how's it constructed, was it made of, to like get something out of that. However, the deeper that you can go in that knowledge, the better chances of you finding some new way to use it, or getting like being more successful, basically.
If we think in terms of systems, I think we have a better chance of getting these things right. So let's dive in a bit now to the system components. And I'm going to stick with the simplest ones for today because I actually think those are the most consequential, especially in this era of in-context learning. But let's start with the one that seems on the surface to be the simplest of all. This is the method that you're going to use for sampling when you want your model to generate. Here's that minimal system here. I imagine that you've got a prompt that came in, and now we're going to think about getting this model to talk. And of course, there are lots of methods. We could do greedy decoding. That would be just where we decide that we're going to generate the most probable next token, conditional on what has come in so far. We think of that as a kind of default for generation, but there is no sense in which it is the privileged method here. It is just one choice among many. We could also think about top P. This would be where we're sampling tokens from the most probable tokens according to the distribution for the model. We could also do something like beam search, which would be a more exploratory method. We could think about insisting on token diversity for these generations. That's an even higher level ideal that we could impose.
What does that mean?
And we could even go so far as in...
What does that mean? I've never heard of that before. Beam search? Someone much smarter than me, please explain this. What is beam search in the... let's write it. What does beam search mean in the context of LLMs? Okay, decoding or inference technique commonly used in language models to generate text. When a language model produces tokens one by one, beam search explores the multiple potential sequences in parallel rather than following a single best path. Okay. Okay, and here's some things that he was just talking about. So greedy search, highest scoring token at each step. I mean, this is kind of like, this sounds like the idea of I mean, people have simplified the chatbot idea as like, oh, it's just really, really good autocomplete. And it's only doing predicting the next token type thing. This sounds a little different, like beam search being multiple steps within that? Huh. Each beam expands into multiple new beams, possible next tokens. Okay, well, this is how, again, this is how we learn, folks. So you gotta learn these terms that they're using are not, huh. Because LLMs are probabilistic models that assign probabilities to possible next tokens, beam search helps ensure that the model does not get stuck on a suboptimal choice early on. Huh. Well, let's go back and see what else he's saying about token diversity, validations. Okay.
Insisting that the things we generate conform to being valid JSON. A very high level consideration in play here. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. And in fact, if you start to look around in this literature, you find it's a space that's full of innovative ideas. I won't have time to go through these in detail, but a lot of these methods are doing things like making use of the gradients to get much more information about the forward-backward flow in the model. A lot of them are focused on that question of how we could ensure that the generated output conforms to a high-level grammar, like for a logic or a computer programming environment. Here's a really nice paper that tries to do that efficiently and also offers an overview of lots of prior methods that have tried to ensure model generations conform to the specification of computer code and things like that. And here's a really recent paper that is actually adding parameters to the model to try to adaptively find a good temperature so that the model is creative or constrained depending on the task that you want it to solve at any given moment. A really innovative way to think about
They
sampling.
just did another...
And if you'll...
Okay, most people have probably not heard about this either. So what does temperature mean in... So we're not talking about thermostats, hot or cold. Temperature is this, it's a hyperparameter that controls the creativity or randomness of the text generation process. So the way I've heard about this used before is like, you can, as you're testing things in your specialized little chatbot tool, you can kind of make that temperature be consistent. It's a little more random sometimes. However, you do not want to get into random internet arguments with people about this, because then they'll, I know this from experience, they will start to tell you how none of this is probabilistic, or it's all deterministic, or it's all, yeah. Anyway. Oh, this is out of that. So, yeah, I don't have a good way to demo that, but in certain chatbot tools, you'll be able to, it's like a slider almost to keep the temperature the same. Which again, it's just it's like a random seed type thing.
Permit me one step further, we could expand out what we mean by sampling for generation and really get into things that are going to look like creative exploration. I've put this under the heading of majority completion strategies. This is a simple instance of a pattern that we're seeing a lot now in technology and in research. Imagine you've got a prompt that has some really hard reasoning task in it. Now, you could ask the model to simply generate the answer in one step. What is the meaning of life? But that might be too difficult. What you might want to do instead is have it generate some reasoning path and then produce an answer. But you could do that by sampling multiple reasoning paths. Yeah. And different reasoning paths might lead to different answers. So if I do this a bunch of different times, I get a distribution over the answers. And I might then say that the actual generated output in this context is going to be the answer that was the most common outcome given all the diverse reasoning paths. So that's a way of letting the model explore and do some reasoning in generation before you insist on it producing a final answer.
By the way, this is what I was talking about earlier with whole the O1 preview thing and people debating like, is this really worth showing that extra? There's like a context drop down, you can have it, see it's thinking. Because some of this happens behind the scenes already and we're just not aware of it, like that it's kind of doing this.
Sure. Now, this isn't strictly speaking just a sampling strategy, but we might trick the user a little bit and hide from them all of those intermediate steps so that it looks like we have simply sampled an answer over here on the right for their input. And that's just one simple instance of the many things that you could do as you had reasoning paths lead to other answers, lead to other reasoning paths, and so forth and so on before finally...
By the way, this is also the... Someone correct me if I'm wrong here. ABAC is like basic 13 bar jazz or something like that. And
producing the answer at the end.
Song format.
So that's the tip of the iceberg, I think, still, even though that's a pretty rich array of ideas. This is the essence of this, though. There is no one true sampling method for your model. This is a highly consequential step. In some sense, you are making the model speak, which it does not really do intrinsically. And the choice that you make here is going to be highly consequential for the overall system that you design. I think I'm emphasizing this because we too often don't consider the sampling method, even though you can see that it really matters for the behavior of the overall system. And it's going to interact in complex ways with the language model that you've chosen as your basis. So that's sampling. Let's think now about prompting. And prompting is really the heart of modern AI system development. Probably a lot of you out there have done a lot of prompt engineering. You worked very hard on prompts and seen that you can get complex and interesting behaviors from the resulting system.
Go back to the first stream we did late last month, and there's a whole prompt engineering sort of PDF walkthrough that you can look at.
System. So that is certainly the heart of all of this. And if you've done it long enough, you might have discovered that it also can be quite heartbreaking. I want to discuss that with you as well. Let's reflect, though, for a minute on the origins of all this. We've started to take it for granted, but it's a new and very unusual idea. I think the origins of this really trace to the GPT-2 paper from 2019. This is Radford et al. There are some precedents before this, but this is the paper where it really crystallized, I believe. In that paper, they say, we demonstrate language models can perform downstream tasks in a zero-shot setting without any parameter or architecture modification. They go on to induce summarization.
By the way, just take a note of the date here, 2019. That's another thing I keep emphasizing with folks is like, it's new to us, but these things have been in development for a long time. 2019, the earlier one it keeps coming up is a 2017 paper about GPTs in general. There's like a transformer paper from Google. And then, of course, like
behavior, we add the text TLDR after the article and generate 100 tokens. In context learning. I want to confide in you all that when I first read this way back in 2019, I did not properly understand what it was saying. I was so cognitively biased against this kind of thing working that I thought surely somewhere hidden in this paper is a description of some fine-tuning method that they used to get that token TLDR to produce summarizations. But now I see, of course, that they really meant what they wrote, which was perfectly clear. I was just not primed to really understand it. That simply by relying on this language model to do in-context learning, they could get it to summarize. Really amazing. And in that paper, they also tried translation, question, answer.
Oh, okay. A few things that other folks maybe you've never heard of. They talked about in-context learning. That's the idea that you're within the same chat, you're able to teach it things and provide extra information in order to get a better like final response to your question. And the other thing you talked about was fine tuning, and I don't have a really good explanation for that one, so let's get some help here. Explain what fine tuning is. Context of LLMs. It's like giving it extra training that's built into the model instead of doing it within the chat. But this is a better, taking a pre-trained model, which has already learned general linguistics, semantic, and sometimes world knowledge from a massive data set, continuing to train it on a more specific or specialized data set. Yeah. And the thing about this is that this requires some processing power, some like heavy duty computer stuff. In context learning, anyone can do as long as the token window is large enough. And what is a token window? That is the, it's sort I like to think of it as like the fuel that's left in the chat. So if you're in a very long conversation with your chatbot, you might notice that it starts saying nonsense like half hour in. That's you've run out of tokens. It's running out of steam. But that's the general gist of it. It's not an infinite amount of chatting you can do yet.
During text completion and reading comprehension, performance is variable across them, but mostly they can get signal, and it really is a kind of striking exploration of this idea. We now take it for granted, but at the time, at least for me, it was very surprising. Then fast forward just 1 year, we get GPT-3, right? We've gone from 1.2 billion parameters for GPT-2 now up to 175 billion. And the GPT-3 paper is an incredible exploration of what that scaling leads to. It's full of cases where they do successful, complex in-context learning. And here's an example of that. For question answering, we just prompt the model with a context passage, and then we give it a few demonstrations, which are also just part of the prompt that we're creating here. And that prompt is meant to show it that we want the behavior to be that the answer is a substring of the context passage. We maybe provide a few of those, and then we give our target question. And the major discovery is, in context, the model can learn to imitate that behavior and answer questions as substrings of the passage. Really striking behavior. And the paper really already identifies a kind of general pattern for this, where we're going to have some context or instructions. Then we'll have some list of demonstrations that further exemplify the behavior that we want to see. And then finally a target down here. And they apply this template to lots of different tasks, from QA to reading comprehension to machine translation. Here's a quick example. I could say, please unscramble the letters into a word and write that word as my instruction or context. Give a few demonstrations. And then at least at the time of GPT-3, maybe I would get something that was at least close to the behavior that I wanted to see, and so forth and so on. So already a template for building systems in this modern mode. It's very exciting, but as I said, if you have done some work with prompting models, you have already seen that there can be a real dark side to all
Time
of
to
this.
get your heart broken.
This is a paper that kind of crystallizes it for me. This is from a group at Berkeley and UW. Quantifying language model sensitivity to spurious features in prompt design, or how I learned to start worrying about prompt formatting. And this is a really dramatic case of sensitivity of the model to the prompt choice that you make. This is a sample table from the paper. They're looking at Llama 2.7b. The paper explores a bunch of other models. But just to take one example here,
Llama 2.7b is the one from Facebook. It's not. So again, go back an hour to the stream. We were talking about different models. This is just one other open source model that people can get their hands on.
280 is an instruction following task. They have two prompt formats for it, and those formats differ only in whether or not they have colons in them after the words passage and answer. And that
maybe he's going to say this in a second, but I've heard the same thing about like punctuation in your sentences. Just typing, these are using like formula stuff, and get different answers. It can come down to the way that you said it. And did you add an exclamation point at the end or not?
That minor change leads to an 80-point difference in the performance of one and the same language model. And that pattern is repeated across lots of tasks in this paper. This kind of shows you that with the wrong prompting strategy, you could make any model look arbitrarily bad. But the essence of this for today is that I think it shows that it just doesn't make sense to ask what it means to evaluate this model in the context of these tasks. The only way to make sense of this question is to ask how the model paired with a prompting strategy is going to do, and think in those terms. And that is already systems thinking. So get rid of that question and think right away in terms of systems. You should be asking yourself, what is the optimal prompt model combination given whatever goals you have? And let me just tell you a few more stories about this. I'm going to kind of go up at a higher and higher level, starting with prompt with chain of thought. This is a lovely paper called Echo Prompt. It's an empirical exploration of different strategies for doing that classic let's think by step chain of thought reasoning. And here's a sample table from the paper. You can see that they've just got different variants of that phrasing. Let's repeat the question.
Let's think step by step. That was a prompt engineering sort of trick for a while. Within like what was it, like a year ago? That was like the secret sauce that people were using online to be like, well, look what I got to do.
And so forth and so on. And this is a glimpse of the results, which show wide variation in terms of the performance of the model based on how we frame the chain of thought reasoning step. This is for Code DaVinci 2, which is an older model, but again, I think this reproduces for newer models. And it shows that it just doesn't make sense to ask this question. If you asked, what does it mean to evaluate this as a model, even just for chain of thought, you already find that you have to be thinking in terms of model prompt combinations, or in this case, model chain of thought combinations. And again, that is systems level thinking, not model level thinking. And I think that's just going to bring so much clarity to your own development cycles.
Okay.
So get rid of that question. And let's go up one step even further here. This is a nice tweet that I saw. This person just observes, fun fact, I realized I was still using old GPT-4 for tool calling in part of an agent, updated to 4.0 and immediately broke stuff. I think if you've been in this business long enough, you have seen this happen yourselves. And this nice response tweet says, had the same exact experience where going from 3.5 to 4.0 mini triggered a fresh prompt engineering exercise as if it's a new project. I think this is showing that the model and the prompt are inextricably linked. We write these prompts in English, but in fact, they are more like an effort to communicate with this sort of alien creature, the language model. And we can deceive ourselves by thinking that our understanding is going to translate directly into the performance of the system. We would like to get away from this, but I think the first step toward that is thinking about these two things as inextricably linked. And by the way, a fun fact here, which Petra pointed out to me, I didn't know this at the time of coding this tweet, but this tweeter here is an alum of my natural language understanding course. And so maybe it's not surprising also that they are a fan, as you can see here, of DSPy, the programming library. One more final story about
what
this.
What is that? We're going to pause for a moment. That's kind of that's been my lived experience, certainly, of the past year. I wrote or said the same thing at a recent library conference. Like, it's a little too early to start building things, because as soon as these updates come out to these models, you might find that you need to start from scratch again, because it's just behaving wildly different than what you thought before. Then at the same time, you've got these new features that are part of that are kind of compelling you to use the newer model. But let's see what is DisPy. It might. I think they got their SEO figured out to where this will be There's a small library, data structures help function. Oh, okay. A shorthand and data science for Python. Huh. Okay. Well, now we know. Again, people, I'm not a coder. I'm just a librarian. Not just. But this is how we learn. We got to dip our toes into that.
You might have seen that people found the Apple Intelligence prompts. These are in system files that ship with the OS. And the prompts are fascinating to read because you can kind of glimpse the development cycles that they had to go through to get the Apple Intelligence models to behave in the intended way. They're full of things that are kind of like special pleading with the model to do what they want and so forth. You can tell that these prompts are very tightly knit to the models that they ship. And again, that makes me want...
Let's read this. Okay, the prompt for the Mac OS 15.1 Beta 1. The backend prompt. You are a helpful mail assistant which can help identify relevant questions from a given mail in a short reply snippet. And add, given a mail snippet, ask the relevant question. Do you see what we're doing here? Do not ask questions which are answered by the reply snippet. The question should be short, no more than 8 words. Like, I think a lot of people will be surprised to see that this is what's happening behind the scenes. Like, this is the prompt engineering that needed to occur. Anyway.
I want to take the perspective that even though they're in English, they are much more like compiled binaries, which are meant to be paired with a particular model. That is, again, systems thinking. And I think it shows that these things are really interacting in tightly knit ways to deliver the performance that we want. And we can't really separate the prompt as a system component from the model as a system component. And this is kind of a funny thing to reflect on, and this does lead us to the DSPy library that we've been trying to promote with people and get lots of people to work on. It's a funny moment because some of the core lessons of artificial intelligence seem to have been forgotten. So let's just step back and reflect on this. Throughout AI, we've been successful in part because we have adopted these lessons: modular system design, data-driven optimization, and generic architectures. These are kind of the essence of what made us be able to move so fast, especially in the deep learning era leading up to all of these exciting large language models. And I think these time-tested lessons got nicely embodied in libraries like Torch and Theano and Chainer, and especially PyTorch. Those things embody these concepts and helps us be able to move more quickly as a result. So I wish these things would carry forward, but the current moment is actually kind of funny. In the current moment, we do a lot of prompt templates, manual adjustments to prompts, and we get complete model dependence, as you just saw in those preceding stories, where the prompting strategy, iterated on over time by hand, ends up very tightly knit to whatever model we happen to be working with. And this is kind of tragic for me because these time-tested lessons have taken us so far, and it's surprising that we seem to have forgotten them as we entered this new mode of AI system development. And that does bring us to DSPy.
Okay, before we go to DSPy, let's use this as a metaphor in some other context here. So this is kind of like what our presenter here is saying, is that it is so closely, the prompt and the model are so closely intertwined that we have to think of them the same way at the same time. The same way that like a painter, like the paint is dependent on, the paintbrush is dependent on the final painting that they can make. Like you cannot be doing watercolors. You cannot be doing an oil painting with a watercolor brush. Like the two are very closely tied together. That's what creates the final product, essentially. And yeah, so I think it's true. Like what he's saying is, so far we've been talking, or at least I've been hearing people talk about prompt engineering as if it is a kind of like set in stone, consistent thing. But then over the past year or so, we've seen these new models come out that add extra bells and whistle features, and then we're kind of in a situation where you're like relearning how to do the same thing again. And I feel bad for all, like, there's some people that spent, like, they went deep on the prompt engineering stuff and like creating websites and galleries on how to do these things, copy paste prompts, people paying other people for their prompts, which turned out to be just sort of like a short-term like cottage industry type thing, where now, you know, the ultimate goal is to have these tools where you don't need to be a prompt engineer at all. It just sort of understands you already, or smart enough to ask the right question and reply back to get to actually what you were trying to ask it, which not everyone's good at, like actually formulating questions. Ask me how I know this. I'm a librarian.
It's a programming library for moving away from prompt engineering and toward language model programming. And this is a way of really honoring this insight that when you have a prompt, a language model, and a sampling strategy, you have designed a software system. And we would like, in essence, to bring the core insights of artificial intelligence and also software engineering to this new mode of AI system development. If you haven't seen DSPy before, let me just give you a quick sense for how it works. At the top here, I've got some code that sets up some high-level tools that are going to define the system.
All right,
for this example, I've got Turbo as my model. I've got an index of Wikipedia,
I'm going to end it there.
And I could have other tools at my disposal there if I want.
Because I wanted to play around with the Whisk
And then this here on the left,
DSPy
DSPy.predict question to answer, is a minimal system in DSPy.
Let's see what else we got here, though.
That these are systems. So I thought it would be nice to, instead of diving into the technical details,
pause it and let's skip ahead here. You can watch the rest of it, the last half hour, whenever you please. And we got some stuff about... Oh, we got some future predictions here. Time processing, scaling. Huh. You know, sometimes on YouTube, you can't see this right now because my chair's in the way. But just going to the places where people clicked the most. So that's where we ended it, where he starts actually talking about DSPy. And then what was this final one at the end here? Well, it's just, what's he saying for 2025? Let's see.
Because it's a very organized community in terms of its literature. If you go to the ACL anthology, that pretty much includes every NLP paper, and you could use those search functions. You're yourself a leader in an organization thinking about how you would define a generative AI strategy. That's probably worth its own separate lecture. But there are some things that I offer as advice. And I think that maybe the main thing would be to, early on, think about what success is going to look like and what kind of testing you're going to do. So that that's a guided process with some clear goals in mind. And then you can think about designing a system that balances the thing you're trying to achieve against the known risks of deploying a system in the current era.
Great, thank you so much.
There
are also people asking, there's a lot of
more questions in there that I skipped over, but let's leave that for now. Let's play with Whisk. This is what we did last week, and Whisk Google. This is probably my favorite one to use right now because it's so easy. Oh, there was nothing in my library. Probably because... Oh, here's the ones from last week. We had a Tasmanian devil who was enjoying their coffee a little too much. How do we go back? Let's go back to the home page. And I don't think this was here before. We got some explainers. Currently only available in the US. Worldwide soon, I'm sure. Why can I not? I just want to search the thing. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Any ideas? Anyone watching that has a image they need to create? I've been enjoying this enamel pin one because you can turn anything into an enamel pin, as it turns out. So let's go to our website, and I was doing this with logos earlier. Oh, hey, we could take this one. Save image. Desktop. Let's see what it does with this one. Turn it into an enamel pin. Come on, where is it? Ah! Ah! It's so satisfying to get a finished product like that right away. Huh. Do you see what it did though? It got all the elements right there. Oh, what's going on? We got some phone things going off. Look at that. We can edit the details. The overall style is reminiscent of an enamel pin you might find in a jean jacket or backpack. Okay, can I add... Oh, can we upload an image or something to make this more reboot room or Palo Alto-y? What happens if I do this? I'm really curious how this will work if we say upload image and then we add that one. Whisk it up. Go on. Try again. How entertaining. Oh, what happened on my... It's too good. Oh, look at that one. The tree's talking to the thing. But we lost... What did we lose here? We lost the kind of AI-ness of it. So... how could we... Maybe if we edit this... there should also be a robot somewhere in all this. I don't know if that's gonna work, but let's see. Oh, when you go there and you edit the prompt, it's gonna now create some... Oh, wow. Hey now. I don't know, should we use that one? I kind of... I don't know. This is giving me some ideas. Like, do you see this? That part in the logo? That's kind of... Alright, where to save this one? And just for fun, we got to take that over to Sora. Let's see what it does in Sora. You know, sometimes you just get inspired by things and you got to try it out. Where did that go? It's probably my downloads folder. Nope. Where did we save that? Oh, you know what? I think this does something where it's kind of... We have to download it a special way. Will that work? That'll work. But no. They've got this as some strange image format that's not gonna work, so we're gonna use what I like to call the claw. There's like a keyboard shortcut that you do for screenshots. I like to describe it as the claw, because you really, your hands is like, not at all, the layout does not make sense. Let's say that. Okay, so we've taken the claw, and did we save our image somewhere? Where did we save our image? Where did we save our image? Where did the claw save it? Okay, here we go. There's our thing. Okay. I just gotta see what this does. And don't forget, you can upgrade that. We'll keep it that way. Oh, I'm limited. How about we'll go that, but we'll have more seconds. And whoa, we could do 4 variations of that? Okay. That's exciting. Oh, and we are in the last 5 minutes of our stream today. It is 5:55 p.m. on a Friday, on a Monday. We're going to be back next week. Same time, same channel. I want to also say I'm considering making this an in-person event too, because I know some questions were asked recently about like, how do I register? Where do I go? I do think it would be fun to make this a little more interactive, have some folks here in the reboot room. We could do like live Q&A. The only thing though is I can't have 20 people show up at the same time, because it's just one of me right here. So we might need to limit it to like 4 people. We got a nice couch and we got some chairs over here you can sit at. We can do this anytime on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, or we'll figure out a new schedule for 2025. But yes, that'll be the last one of the year, the final Monday of 2024. We have another event on the way that is also AI related. Let's see, where is it? It is part of this Silicon Valley Reads. This one. So obviously our library is participating in this. If you're watching this in the Bay Area, your library probably also is. They've got some books featured here. There's going to be some other events. Let's see, is it in our event calendar right now? Let's see. Silicon Valley Reads. It might be. I think there's a kickoff event that's already somewhere in here. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, let me find you info about their kickoff event, because that is definitely published. Okay. Registration is now open. Kickoff is Thursday, January 30th at the Enza College from 8:30 p.m. Doors open at 6. And what do we got? Enjoy the show on coding empathy. We got some advanced technology here, 3D printed sculptures, ceramics. Oh, what is that? Pixel mirrored prints. I have no idea what that means. We got to go to find out. Okay, visit the page mid-January to see the full offerings. Cool. Okay, this is just the first kickoff event. There'll be more info there. And what do we... what a good way to end the stream today. Maybe we'll use this next week. This is a interesting little intro that we just made. Help! Help! This is following the mouse movement, by the way. That's how it's playback. I could totally see taking this though, dropping it in a video editor, maybe playing around with the speed or like trying to upscale it a little bit. That's the other thing that we need is a better upscaler. There's some AI tools for that. Okay. I think that is the end of the stream because Chris is running out of steam. His token limit has reached the upper maximum here. So I hope you enjoyed. Again, please join us again next week. Same time, same channel, Monday 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I'd like to say hello to everyone who watches this after the live stream because I see the view count go up by a lot. So thank you for being a loyal Reboot Room subscriber on YouTube. And yeah, click that, was it the bell icon to get notified when we post new things. We might not be sticking with like the once a week schedule in 2025, but I'm going to try. So I hope to see you then, and especially next week too. Got some big stuff planned for the final one. So yay. Anyway, that's in the stream. Goodbye.